Put a there, boy. We'll show these fascists what a couple of hillbillies can do. Well, I'm going to tell you, fascists, you may be surprised. People in this world are getting organized. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.
All you fascists bound to lose.
I said,
All you fascists bound to lose.
yes, sir.
All you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.
There's people of every nation marching side by side, marching across the fields where 1 million fascists died. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.
All you fascists bound to lose.
Yes, sir.
All you fascists bound to lose.
I said,
All you fascists bound to lose.
Good evening and welcome to PNAC Radio. Once again, you're up late night with Matt Dayton, Matt Connor, John Robertson, Caleb Carroll. I guess that's your official last name currently, isn't it, Caleb?
Yes.
Thanks for saying our last names on there.
Shaman.
That doesn't matter. They're on the website.
Oh, man.
Well, we've also done conferences with thousands of people that have been, carried on the internet.
That's true.
This is a code name Redbeard. His name is not Matt Dayton. And this is Matt Connor speaking to you. We're scheduled, I believe, to have D.L. Abramson on the show. Unless you've been hiding under a thermite rock somewhere, then you probably have heard the controversial things that Dan has been saying or blogging or video casting or whatever you call it on the internet. But, however, that is not the main reason why we wanted to have Dan on the show.
Right. You may have also, if you've been paying attention to what he's been doing a lot of work concerning like Stratcom, Northcom, contracting.
SAIC, the SCO.
Yes.
Basically, it goes like this. We have always, ever since we've gotten together as the Project New American Citizen Student Group, we've always looked up to Dan or D.L. Abramson's work and his analysis and his insight. And we had him speak at our conference here, Rebuilding America's Senses. When was that? In March?
April.
In April this year. And up until, what was it, about a week ago, everything seemed to be going all right as far as, the interaction between everyone. And apparently D.L. Abramson has a problem with some of the way that things are being run and the direction that people are being taken by so-called, 9/11 cult leaders or what have you. And so the thing that I would like to, what I want to get from this interview this evening, if we do, in fact...
And we do. He's on right now.
Okay. On the air?
Well, no, he's not on the air, but I mean, he's
okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me preface this real quick.
Sure.
And then we will get to D.L. Abramson. What I would like to get to this evening is, in Dan's opinion, the direction that the movement should take in regards to the issues that we need to focus on, being what's the most important, ideas to focus on, be it the defense contractors or the directed energy weapons, space weapons, war with Iran. Not so much, just the name calling, and I don't want this to turn into a fist fight, and I don't even know if we should take callers, because a lot of people are upset and angry because I don't think they understand what Dan's doing or what he's saying or his method of what he's trying to get people directed towards. And I think it would just turn into a screaming match. So I'm going to try to say let's probably not take a lot of calls, because I want to get apparently we have about 20 minutes with Dan unless that changes. So I want to get to, let's go ahead and pull Dan up right now.
Sure thing. All right, DL, are you there?
Yeah, gentlemen, I come in peace, and I swear to you I am not trying to resurrect the ghost of Wing TV.
So this is not an ambush, then?
No, and when I do, I put those videos up just because I'm a petulant little bastard, but I'm trying to, with humor, alert us to a real problem that I see. And, obviously the jokes don't always land as intended, but I think if you watch the videos, look at what I'm doing, and then separate that and look at the content on my website, you'll see that not only am I critiquing where we are, but I'm trying to provide an entirely new direction as to where we can go. So it's not just that I'm trying to, launch a bunch of negative attacks. I'm trying to say we've got problems. I'm going to identify them in a sort of humorous way, and then I'm going to be dead serious about the problems we're facing.
Well, I'll say, it was very funny. A lot of it made me laugh very hard, and I watched a lot of the videos at least 10 times. But it's good. It's good to hear that you come in peace.
I'm not going to turn this into a negativity fest, but let's look at the problems we have here. We want to stop the next attack from happening, and also we have to see the context in which it happens. I feel on both of those fronts we are not just failing, we're failing miserably. What's happened is that a whole wing of so-called 9/11 truth has been turned into a bunch of what I consider dead-end, stale memes that go nowhere. This stuff about victims' families, the stuff about first responders and air quality, it's very good at pulling at the heartstrings. I feel bad for the 2,800 people that lost their lives. I feel bad that there are first responders who are suffering right now. But what we really need to keep the focus on is who could have pulled off these attacks, how can we stop the next one from happening, and what are they really trying to accomplish? And that pulls us into things like Russia and China, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. If we even want to talk about the attack that day, I wonder why certain so-called leaders in this movement will not talk about who ran the attacks that day. U.S. Space Command, Stratcom, National Reconnaissance Office. These are the very groups right now that I see at the epicenter of this fascist coup against the United States government. And I feel that the analysis on the part of many has not changed. The stuff about an Illuminati, Germanic death cult. We've got to get realistic. There are companies like SAIC, there are companies like Lockheed and Raytheon that are developing space-based directed energy weapons and openly planning for World War IV, as they call it. So, we can either talk about finding Masonic symbology in our toenail clippings, or we can get real and try to stop World War IV here.
Well, one thing that I do like that you do is, other people, and we're saying other people in lieu of saying a certain person, but as you've done in some of your videos, it's kind of funny, but either way, I like how you go about and say, it's SAIC or it's whoever, instead of just saying criminal factions in the government. Because you go to the average person and you say criminal factions in the government, and that means nothing to them. But if you can pinpoint to a certain corporation or company, I think that's a much better argument.
Yeah, well, Matt, what is one of the great failures of the left? They say the elite are doing it. The elite are doing it. That's what you suffer from in so-called 9/11 truth. You have either the neocons did it or the globalists are doing it. What we're missing is that there is an entrenched private military contractor system that is the government right now. It's not that the Defense Department gives out contracts to the private military contractors. The private military contractors are the government. They use the DOD merely as a tax collection vehicle to hand out contracts to themselves. That's why if you look at many of the key 9/11 players, they are now on the boards of...
Do we lose Dan?
You there, Dan? I think here. Let me.
Did he drop from the screen?
No, he didn't drop from the screen. Dan, you there? Damn it. Well, I guess try to reestablish that connection. Unfortunately, it went out mid-sentence.
Okay. Well, he was mentioning.
We may have lost connection.
I think we're on.
Well,
I'm not sure. Can anyone verify that for us? Anyone on the? All right, cool. Okay. Operator says we're on, and Dan, are you there? Hello, Dan.
Did you pull him up?
Yeah,
you came. Okay.
Okay, continue. That's a coincidence.
Okay, there we go.
But, listen, guys, I just want to say that, look at the most recent drill that's being run right now, these top-off drills. It's being run by a company called AMTI. This is a subsidiary of SAIC. SAIC is up to their arms in space weapons contracts, directed energy weapons. They privatize the NSA via the Trailblazer program, via programs like Execute Locust. Why have I never, ever, once heard anyone mention SAIC in this so-called truth movement? What are we covering up for? Do we have a huge blind spot? There's programs like right now like Future Combat Systems, DARPA Information Exploitation Office. We've got to talk about these programs because when we say that the globalists, per se, want to develop transhumanism or they're trying to enslave us in a grid, these are the groups that are doing it. We can ID them. It doesn't have to be David Rockefeller in a smoky room at the Bilderberg. These are the very organizations, the very companies, the very faces that are making it happen. And that's why Richard Myers is on the board of Northrop Grumman. This is why it works. If you look at the boards of these companies, it is stocked with so-called ex-Intel people. But this is just a privatized military-industrial complex. We have to get realistic. We have to talk about these companies. I never hear anyone talk about them.
Right, yeah, and I know that's always been the point that you really, really brought up. I mean, that's the reason I personally enjoyed your presentation.